This week we have the Monday Night Raw review, the SmackDown Live review, and why in the hell are we less interested in the current WWE product as a whole, coming up next.
How you doing, YouTube? Welcome everybody to the riggsbeast Wrestling Podcast, week in review. So sit back, relax, maybe even grab a drink, and let's have some fun together, shall we?
So Monday Night Raw takes place this week, February 6th from Portland, Oregon. Raw opens up with a nice video package kind of going over Seth Rollins and Triple H's history. They went all the way back to NXT, kind of enjoyed it, gotta admit it. When WWE wants to do a video package and they actually put the effort into it, damn, they're usually good. I mean, they honestly can make up for feuds that are lackluster and build that is lackluster in a 3-minute fucking video. It's amazing to me some of the people they have working there. It's also amazing some of the people they have working there. Let's get going anyway with the review. They open up Raw with Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley in the ring. And they want to bring out Samoa Joe for a contract signing. This essentially is, number one, to make people realize he's going to be on Raw. He's not going to SmackDown. There will be no Cena Joe. Everybody stop. That's number one. Number two, the main thing they're doing, they want to make Joe look important. And making him look important, you come out. When did they do this? When did they have a contract signing for a guy who just made a debut? It's not very common. Makes a guy look important. So Mick Foley is the one to introduce Joe to the ring. And he does a great job of acting as monotone and miserable as possible in doing this. And the reason he's doing this is to get over the fact that he is disgusted and sick with how Joe debuted, what he did, and why he did it. I enjoyed it. I like the fact that they're bringing in a character and having him have emotion and not forgetting what happened and acting excited like a puppet. Because they've been building Mick Foley as not a puppet, and they've been building Mick Foley as a guy who's starting to become resistant, and the friction is coming with Stephanie McMahon, mainly because he needs the hip surgery. So he's got to stop. He's got to go get the surgery. He wants to have it, and he can't be the GM. And quite frankly, you knew this was coming. You knew Mick Foley was not a long-term answer. Stephanie McMahon then says, Mick, what are you doing? Why are you not excited? Are you mad that I'm the one is doing your job? Again, starting the effect of Mick eventually being fired. So Stephanie McMahon actually is the one who introduces Joe with that over-exuberance. And Joe comes out in a suit. And again, I like this effect too. Makes him kind of look like a hitman. Kind of what he did to Rollins. At least it's a storytelling. It may have gone over some people's heads, but it made sense. So Joe's out there and he mentions the Foley. I don't really care what you think. I don't care that you liked me and you don't like the way I got in here. There's one guy that believed in me, and that's Triple H. He got me here. So I'm going to do what he asks. That's his reasoning for attacking Seth Rollins. Again, simplistic and makes sense. So as they're going through it, Roman Reigns comes out, and I'm a little surprised they went with this match, which we'll talk about in a second, but they went with a match with these two on the first Raw that Joe is actually on the show and not a surprise. What it does is, to me, this match could have waited. This match could have been down the road. They didn't need to get these two in the ring and have them touch immediately. And they didn't even have Roman mention Seth. They could have at least done that. But what they did is they did the foreshadowing and the undertones of his match with Taker coming at 33. WrestleMania 33. They had him talk about, you're coming into my yard and I'm the guy and blah, Roman, blah, rinse and repeat. So he challenges Joe to a match. They're going to have it. It's not going to ruin my night, but I just didn't think they should have it here. They could have done a Roman Reigns segment and had Braun Strowman attack him. So you knew that was coming anyway, so why not just do it? So the first match of the night after this is Bayley versus Nia Jax. I mentioned last week that Bayley and Nia Jax were going to have this mini feud, and they were going to get into it to kind of continue Bayley's run towards the title, and I still believe that WrestleMania should be Bayley versus Charlotte one-on-one. You're not going to get Bayley versus Charlotte one-on-one. You can see now that they're setting up Bayley versus Charlotte versus Nia Jax versus Sasha Banks, and they're all intertwining the stories. The reason that right now it's not coming off great is because they haven't done a very good job on Raw of really getting you invested as to why do I want to see Bayley win? Why do I want to see Sasha win? She had 18 chances. She won the belt 3 times on Raw, lost it 4 times on pay-per-view. Apparently Sasha can't win a pay-per-view match. Charlotte can't win a Raw match. Welcome to booking in 2017. But in the match tonight, it was great physical action early. Nia Jax is throwing Bayley around like a rag doll, physically sending her into the ropes. Great stuff. Nia tries to take a good bump. Later in the match, they get to the outside. And Nia tries to take a good bump by trying to run at Bayley, who she has set up to a post. And she runs into the post. And I always love when somebody throws himself into the post and how they do it. And Nia tried her hardest, but the shit looked fake as hell. So Bayley gets back in the ring, and this I had a problem with. Bayley is sitting there counting with the ref as he's counting out Nia Jax. Now Bayley is supposed to be this underdog female wrestler that you're supposed to get behind and want to see her overcome and want to see her win. How do you get behind somebody rooting for a countout? These are just little things that we're going to talk about later with why we're not as invested as the product, and it's character building. This moment was a missed opportunity for WWE to try to make Bayley more sympathetic. You have Bayley go out and either try to get Nia Jax. I know she is not going to lift her. That's obvious. Or try to stop the ref from counting. Or send Charlotte down sooner so you're not seeing Bayley count with the ref. That's just a bad look to me. Beyond that, Charlotte comes down to the ring. She distracts Bayley. Bayley gets her off the ropes, but turns around into a great Samoan drop, 1, 2, 3. Nia Jax wins. Not surprising Nia Jax wins here. And honestly, it's just intertwining and continuing all these feuds coming together. So next, I guess we have I want to hope, the curtain call for Strowman versus Jobbers. And this time, they picked 450-pound guys. We're still doing this. I understand and I appreciate using jobbers to enhance talent. It's important for when somebody's debuting after their debut night, when it's maybe a younger guy or a less known guy, to be able to go out and make this guy get over, let you see his moveset. We've done this with Braun Strowman now for months. Stop it. It's over. They kind of made this a little bit of a comedy. One guy runs away. Braun pins 3 of them. Braun wins. Then after the match, Braun is mad, saying, "This is the competition. I'm tired of it, Foley. I'm coming to find you." He finds Foley in the back. Foley's kind of waiting there. And they basically book Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman for Fastlane. Again, indicating you are getting Roman versus Taker. They needed to do Roman and Braun to tie up loose ends. Roman's beating Braun. Roman is not losing going into Mania. And Braun is going to be and win the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. That's what's going to happen to both these guys. So they do a little video package for Tozawa to introduce him for the Cruiserweight fans. And to be honest with you, the way they treat the Cruiserweights on Raw, you can't get into it. You can't get into it when it's 5 minutes or less. And they've booked it so horribly on Raw. Again, character building. Who are these guys? And why should I care about them? And they don't even give them enough time to care about the in-ring product alone, which again could be a big factor in helping. They don't do that. They give them a couple minutes. But if you listen to that one-time podcast with Peter Rosenberg on the network, remember, they get an hour. I've yet to see 30 minutes. But it's a good little match between Gulak and Tozawa. Basically, they show off Tozawa's moveset, have him come back, show babyface, and Tozawa wins the match, as he should. Brian Kendrick comes out after the match and just shakes Tozawa's hand. So that's kind of the feud they're going to go with. Kendrick's trying to be, or get Tozawa to be, his apprentice. Owens and Jericho are up next. So Owens mentions how he's proving everybody wrong, how he's beating people that people didn't believe he can beat. Jericho mentions how Owens versus Jericho, title versus title, could be the biggest WrestleMania match of all time. Owens says, "I'm not sure I could wrestle my best friend, but yeah, it would be the biggest main event of all time. Of course, the heels would do this." So Goldberg comes out. I cringed a little bit here because you know what's coming. You know what's coming. So Goldberg first accepts Lesnar's challenge. Then he basically challenges Owens to a title match. Owens looks like he refuses at first. Then Jericho starts talking to him, thinks like he's going to put him on the list. Goldberg then writes his own name on the list. Then essentially Jericho accepted the title match for Kevin Owens. This is how they're going to get to the Jericho-Owens feud. This is exactly how they're getting to it. Owens is going to drop the title to Gil Goldberg in a basic squash match, and then Owens is going to blame Jericho. Owens-Jericho is a match you do want to see, but you can already tell Goldberg versus Lesnar to headline WrestleMania. I mean, to be honest, who really wants to see that again? Again! So Club versus Sheamus and Cesaro were up next. And essentially, this was a way to get Enzo and Cass into the title picture because they're sitting at ringside, and apparently all you have to do is sit at ringside, and you're going to be the number one contender for the tag team titles. This didn't have a clean finish. Essentially, when Gallows is sent outside, Gallows kicks Enzo for being Enzo, Cass kicks Gallows for being Gallows, and it's a DQ. So obviously now Enzo and Cass and the Club are going to be in a rivalry, which is Sheamus and Cesaro also have a gripe. At least 3 of these teams are going to a tag title match. So the Rollins injury update, which was next, honestly wasn't even an update. They basically showed you pictures Rollins tweeted and then Rollins' tweets. This indicated to me, before news came out later in the week, that they believe Rollins has a legitimate chance to get back for Mania. So they're going to keep their mouth shut. I expect to hear nothing about this. I also expect Seth to give very little, if no, updates. And probably around 3 to 4 weeks, they're going to do stress testing, as we talked about before with MCLs. They're going to do stress testing, and if he can put enough pressure on it, at that point, they're going to be 100% to go ahead with the match. And just from hearing about the severity of it, my guess is they're going to go ahead with the match. And honestly, it might be by accident, but this is going to add to it when Seth Rollins comes back. There's really going to be a lot more into this feud because of the injury. So next up, the Rock and Roll Express is announced for the Hall of Fame. Listen, I'm 32 years old. I saw a little bit of the Rock and Roll Express. I didn't see them in their heyday, but I have watched a lot of old videos, either through YouTube or through the WWE Network or through old tapes. And they were a fun tag team to watch. Some of my favorite matches from back in the day were the catwalk matches. I forget what they're actually called right now. It's eluding me. But the scaffolding matches. There we go. The old scaffolding matches. And there was the famous one where Jim Cornette fell from the scaffolding. He's afraid of heights and he broke his leg. And those were always fun matches to watch. Again, I didn't watch them live or anything. I've seen enough of them and heard enough of them to know they deserve this. And like I said, I've seen a ton of their matches from either, like I said, YouTube or tape trading, or honestly, even the WWE Network, which has been a great thing to go back in time and watch old stuff you didn't see live. So Zayn versus Jericho title match came up after this announcement, and it was a good little match. Again, these two don't put on bad matches. They just don't. I really feel like they're setting up Fastlane to be Zayn versus Jericho again, because Jericho's going to retain here because Kevin Owens kicks him in the head after he's able to get out of the walls of Jericho. This was a nice back and forth match. Really was. There was a nice false finish that they did with the same finish from last week, the roll-up finish. And like I said, you're going to get another one at Fastlane, and it'll probably be a good match. I expect it to be a good match, but we're starting to get in that territory of seeing it too much in that short time span. So the next segment is Sasha in the training room. Charlotte disses Sasha. There's not much more to say here. Essentially how I didn't know end of the line was really going to be the end of your line, and all you were going to do was be in the training room. Again, just keeping Sasha involved and intertwining all 4 ladies to an eventual fatal 4-way title match or a women's ladder match. We don't know. We got to see where that goes. So Austin Aries is in the ring, and honestly, I remember Austin Aries from TNA. He was not this entertaining. He was always a good wrestler, don't get me wrong. But damn, Austin Aries is just, he's dynamite right now. He's dynamite behind the mic. He's dynamite in these ring segments. And having this banana in his pocket, I don't know why, but that shit was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing about it, and really there's no rhyme or reason. The man just had a fucking banana in his pocket for the hell of it. But this was to set up the Fatal 5-Way elimination match they were going to do on 205 Live to determine a number 1 contender for Neville's title. Spoiler alert, Jack Gallagher wins. Made perfect sense. I even made mention of this last week when people were talking about challengers for Neville. I referenced the guy being eliminated Mary Poppins style, Jack Gallagher. It made perfect sense. But anyway, one wrestler came out the other, came after the other, came after the other. And Neville, you could see getting frustrated and talking about this was supposed to be a one-on-one interview with Neville. And this is just basically to get all the guys to get in a little clusterfuck. And eventually, Neville and Gallagher were the last two. So ladies and gentlemen, the Emelina Troll's back. We're back again. She's debuting on Raw next week for the third time. She was supposed to debut back in November, I believe. Then they just forgot about it. You know what would be great? Honestly, what would make all of this worth it is if she just came out as evil Emelina. If she didn't change a gimmick, if she didn't change anything, and she just came out and said, I don't know what you were expecting, I think this would be fantastic. And honestly, it wouldn't shock me if this is what they did. Because this troll job has been ridiculous. Honestly, I don't even know what she's going to do when she comes back. But if she just came out as evil Emelina, I would be happy with it. I really would. So this clusterfuck basically set up a 6-man tag match. Honestly, I hate 6-man tag matches for the most part. This one is part of me hating 6-man tag matches. Cole's basically just joking around. You can tell he doesn't take it seriously, and that's frustrating. Now, you may not want to see the 6-man tag match, or you may not care about it, but at least the announcers should act like they care. They should always act like they care to try to get the product over to the television viewer. Even if the crowd's not responding, the announcer should still try to get it over. Just a little gripe that I have with the announcing in the current product today anyway. Basically, the way the match goes is Neville refuses a tag from Dar, and he leaves. He never actually entered the match. Perkins takes out Nice with a detonation kick. Alexander finishes off Dar for the win. So after this match, Owens and Jericho are shown in the back, and Jericho says that next week from Vegas, they're going to have the Festival of Friendship. And within like a minute, they had a graphic for it. Don't know how this is going to go. Hopefully it's not cringeworthy, and hopefully it's just a nice little comedy segment. Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe up next, the main event. Roman Reigns is coming out first, and during his entrance, Joe attacks Reigns. I like that. I like the fact that Joe didn't even wait for the entrance, comes out like the Destroyer, like a fighting machine, and just wants to get on the fight. So he's beating on him, throwing him around the ringside, and they go to commercial break during this. When they come back from break, Reigns is showing like he's half dead. So they start the match, and Joe's dominating for a bit. Nice physical match. Joe then starts chopping the logo on his chest, and this is why I can't stand that he still wears that shield guard. Because Joe is chopping his chest with the Roman Reigns shield guard, he doesn't feel it, and he gets a comeback. Joe actually stops the comeback relatively quickly. After about another 2 or 3 minutes of back and forth, however, Roman started dominating the match, and honestly, they made it appear as Roman was going to beat Joe. First night on Raw, and they make it look like you're going to lose your match to Roman Reigns. Way to make Samoa Joe look tough in his debut match. Braun Strowman comes out to distract Roman Reigns. Roman Superman punches him. Samoa Joe puts on a new finisher and wins the match because of Strowman interference. Rolls out of the ring. That's it. Joe's done for the night. And Strowman beats down Reigns and actually winds up doing his running power slam through the barricade to end Raw. I like how Strowman ended Raw with Reigns, but I don't like how they kind of made Joe look a little weak here. They made Roman look strong. They always make Roman look strong. It's the motto, make Roman look strong. And again, that's one of the reasons people just hate him, is people nowadays, they're not interested so much in the characters because, spoiler alert for later, WWE's not good at character building. So because of that, people get more interested in the backstage. They get more interested in who's getting pushed. They look at a guy like Roman Reigns and they're realizing what's going on, and that's why they continue to boo him. So I'll save the rest of that, though, for later on in the show. Raw overall, boring. It has its moments. The beginning was good. The Samoa Joe Roman match, honestly, was pretty good. They could do better, I'm sure, and if it was a pay-per-view match, it would be better. And not much usually happens on Raw. That's just the sad state of Monday Night Raw. So if I were to rate this, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Decent show, not worth sitting and watching. SmackDown, however, worth sitting and watching. SmackDown this week from Seattle, Washington, February 7th, the hometown of one Mr. Daniel Bryan. And after a hype video for Cena and Orton tonight, guess who starts the show? Todd Phillips. Todd Phillips starts the show and welcomes everybody on commentary. I don't know what they're doing with Mauro Ranallo. I just don't know. I don't even know what to say. I hope he's not leaving because I love that guy. And personally, him and Corey Graves would be the perfect duo. I don't know why they're still into this three-man booth. I hate three-man booths. Like on Raw, Byron Saxton could get lost. On SmackDown, JBL and Otunga could get lost. I wish Graves could work both shows, honestly. If I had my choice, I'd pay him double pay. Make him worth both shows. So Brian, like I said, starts the show. He comes down. He does hometown boy things, as I like to make note. Basically pumping up the crowd, mentions last year he retired. And The Miz comes out. And The Miz goes after him. The Miz goes after him by telling him, why are you even here? You can't wrestle anymore. Become a stay-at-home dad. And the crowd is eating it up, booing The Miz. Seattle's a decent crowd always, but when you get Daniel Bryan, they're amazing. Daniel Bryan has a great one-liner, though. This is a meme. Definitely a meme here. Telling The Miz that not being able to wrestle never stopped you. And the crowd won't stop chanting for Bryan. Miz, at that point, is trying to get out an Elimination Chamber plug, and they won't stop. Miz is yelling at the crowd to shut up. They won't stop. Eventually, Corbin comes out. And Corbin threatens The Miz and talks about how he's going to win. And then Ambrose comes out. And Ambrose, little funny jab here at Corbin's theme song, how he took the motorcycle riff in the beginning, which is kind of funny. Then Styles comes out. The crowd won't stop chanting for AJ Styles now. Styles even tries to tell the crowd to shut up. He doesn't care. Shut up. I don't care. They won't stop chanting for him. AJ's a baby face because of what AJ's done before he got to the WWE. The fans themselves built this character. WWE hasn't. More for later with that. This is basically all to set up a fatal four-way with 4 of the 6 guys in the Elimination Chamber. Of course, Cena's in the main event tonight with Randy Orton. Bray Wyatt is not in the match and honestly is not even mentioned. Interesting, keep that a note. So the fatal four-way match, and it's very important because it brings realism to the match. Anytime you can bring a sense of realism or make something look as stiff and good as possible, it just adds to the aura of that match. A little bit later on in the match, Miz does Bryan-like kicks to Ambrose and Styles. He misses the head kick, and then all 3 have this series of roll-ups. I think it totals like 5 or 6 of them. I thought it was funny. At this point, they go to break. When they come back from break, all 4 guys set up and deliver a double superplex powerbomb. Oh, this is an incredible match for a SmackDown. It was done like Speedy Gonzalez style. They were just go, 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 go. Insane to me. How it was a spot fest, but it was a quality spot fest. Those two usually don't go hand in hand, but for some reason this did. I can't really explain other than you have to see it to understand the Speedy Gonzalez spot fest style that this was, but yet it was good and didn't suffer from being too spot fest. Ambrose, though, does a running bulldog clothesline to Miz and Corbin. He does the running bulldog to the Miz and hits Corbin with the clothesline. Then a superseda at that point when he jumps over the rope. Maurice pulls Miz out, though. This is right at the end of the match. Maurice pulls Miz out after a potential pinfall from AJ Styles with the phenomenal forearm. Baron Corbin hits the end of days and pins AJ Styles. Little bit surprising they gave Baron Corbin the win, but I'm perfectly okay with it. Baron Corbin is going to be a world champion this year. It's going to happen. And it should happen, quite frankly. Another good promo from Luke Harper. Luke, they come back from break, and Luke is doing a very Bray-like promo. And Harper's talking about wanting to hurt Randy and how he stole his family. This is good. This story, the Wyatt family story, is really good. Because you have a distinguished character in Bray, a distinguished character in Randy, and an up-and-coming but still distinguished character in Luke. And everybody has their role, and everybody's role is defined, and it just comes off so good. This is what storytelling can do for a rivalry. As we're going to talk about later, about WWE not being able to build characters, this is a prime example of characters that have been built, even if there's been some distinguishable failures with it. that the fans care about and what can happen with simple ideas and quality performers doing them. You care about what goes on. And that's all you can ask for in wrestling. It really is all you can ask for. They announced Harper versus Orton at Elimination Chamber. Makes a lot of sense. Wasn't sure they were going to do it, but definitely makes sense. They interviewed Nikki Bella and Natalya in separate rooms. They're probably just in the same room, split sides. This came off as just a bitch fight. Some people enjoyed it. This just looked like a bitch fight. I don't know what else to say. Two bitches arguing with each other. Not much else to say here, except for some reason they wanted you to get a really up-close shot of Todd Phillips. They want you to see Todd Phillips' pores. Don't know what the hell is going on with that camera work. So they have the next match is Cruz versus Ziggler. The match lasts like a minute, maybe a minute and a half. Cruz wins with a quick roll-up. Ziggler attacks him after the match with a chair. The crowd starts chanting one more time. Again, Seattle crowd, dibs to you. Great. It's hard to make Ziggler a heel when he's working with guys that nobody cares about. They want to see Ziggler get over more. They want to see Ziggler succeed. And you're putting with two guys that the crowd right now doesn't care about. Cruz has potential, but they're not using him. So, of course, the crowd's going to cheer Ziggler being a heel. This is not the right way to get him booed, if they can ever even get him booed. He continues to beat on him until Kalisto, soul-crushing Kalisto, comes out and Ziggler gets him with the chair and beats him with a chair. Again, crowd's chanting one more time. They actually booed Ziggler when he left for probably not continuing to beat Kalisto and Cruz with a chair. They went to break, and when they came back, Bryan stops Ziggler and says, "Hey, what are you doing?" And basically, Ziggler says, "It doesn't matter. I'm doing what I want to do, and I could beat both these guys. I could beat them both at the same time." So at Elimination Chamber, you're getting Ziggler versus Cruz and Kalisto in a handicap match. Great. Anyway, the dual contract signing is next with Becky and Mickey, Alexa, and Naomi. This was pretty good. Mickey does a great job of being a heel, even though the way she talks is annoying. And that's good, because you don't want to hear her talk. You want her to shut up. So just the sound of her voice makes you hate her. Funny moment is when she looked at Renee Young and said, "You can stop this cosplay journalism." I got a great laugh out of that one. I wish Mickey would change the theme, though. She comes off as a bitchy heel, but then comes off to a bubbly theme song. It just doesn't match, and it's kind of weird. So Mickey goes at Becky, that she's trying to destroy her past, that she doesn't get the credit for being the creator of the women's revolution. Basically, Mickey's looking for respect. Becky wants to slap Mickey back into the past. I like that line a lot, even though the rest of it was kind of your typical babyface. I do respect you, and I did look at you as starting the women's revolution. Blah, 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 blah. But it's typical wrestling. It's cringeworthy, but wrestling can be cringeworthy. You love the cringe sometimes. This is a case you can love the cringe. Even Alexa Bliss is good here. She's going at Becky. Talking about how Becky needs to pay her more respect, and how, Becky doesn't even deserve to be in a match with Mickey. And then Alexa says, "Oh, you're here, Naomi. I'm sorry, I completely forgot about you." After she signs her contract. Love that. Honestly, all three of these women, Becky, Naomi, and Alexa, looked great. They looked great talking. They looked great. They looked like top-tier stars. Naomi doesn't look like she belongs. It's unfortunate because Naomi's good in the ring. But even when she started talking, she was just cringy from the beginning. She sounds produced, scripted, and totally fake and not believable. She doesn't feel like she belongs. She's going to lose that Elimination Chamber. That to me is obvious, and then after that, she may fall right back into obscurity. They're trying to sell the possibility of her winning from her being from Orlando. It's not going to happen. So after this, there's a 12-man tag match. I honestly left the room. I didn't want to watch it. I refused to watch it because I didn't want to ruin what was being a very good show by seeing a clusterfuck match in the ring. The Ascension got the pinfall. That's all I care about. That's it. We're coming up at the main event at this point, but first they did a very nice promo package for the Chamber match. You've seen it a couple times now, but it really is well put together, and I'm legitimately excited for this pay-per-view on Sunday. It looks like a weak card on paper other than the main event, I can't lie. But normally, if you'd notice this, when the card looks bad, the pay-per-view winds up good. And on my preview and prediction show, I'll get more into it. But I just want you to make note of that. It's something that I've noticed lately with WWE. And the Wyatt family entrance is still incredible, even several years later. You watch it and just the pictures that they can get with the crowd using the cell phones and the fireflies. It's great. I don't know what else to say. It's almost a thing of beauty to watch. And even, like I said, several years later, I still get, I don't want to say get chills, but I still get a great enjoyment out of watching it as he comes down. I want to make note of something also. Cena and Orton would not have a full match on regular television if they were going to be in the main event at WrestleMania. It would not be done. So for everybody worrying about John Cena versus Randy Orton being a title match at WrestleMania, relax. It's not going to happen. Calm down. So, they come into the match. They start the match. It's slow. It's typical Randy John. Slow. There's nothing else to say about it. It's what they do. It's working holds, ground holds to take up and to fill time. They get into it good a little bit later, about mid-match, I would say. Right out of the first break, Randy Orton, boom, hits an RKO. And of course, that's going to get a 2 count. A little bit later in the match, John hits an AA. Of course, that's going to be kicked out of. Orton then goes for his in-the-ring DDT where he sets him up on the middle rope. And Cena counters it by backdropping him over the top rope. Like the counter. It's been done a few times, but still like the counter. Orton then reverses Cena outside to backdrop him onto a table. Cena then, later in the match, comes back, his 5-knuckle shuffle and AA. Like we mentioned before, this is where Orton kicks out. An in-the-ring DDT then is done off the top rope. This was a great-looking in-the-ring DDT that I love. And I would have saved this, because I don't remember seeing this in a match recently at all. I wish he wouldn't have pulled it out on a random SmackDown, even against Cena. Save it, man. Save it. Save it for your WrestleMania match with Bret. I can't say that right now. Maybe you'll learn tomorrow. So, at that point, this is late in the match now. They're both countering each other's finishers, and Randy Orton's holding onto the ropes while Cena's got him up for the AA. He pulls him off the ropes, and the ref's in the perfect spot to get kicked in the face. So he gets knocked out. He's dead. Bray Wyatt comes in the ring. They start double teaming Cena. He's going to try to go for Sister Abigail, but Luke Harper comes out, gets in Bray's face, acts like he's controlled by Bray, but then discus clotheslines Bray very well, very stiff. Bray gets out of the ring. Orton is stalking Luke Harper like he's going to hit him with the RKO, then Cena gets him before he can do it. Bam, hits him with the AA, 1, 2, 3, match is over. Quality match for SmackDown. Sets up, continuing the Orton versus Harper feud within the Wyatt family drama. Wyatt, not a huge part of the night. We'll get more of that into tomorrow. But just know, Cena versus Orton is not happening at WrestleMania. That is the SmackDown portion of the review. I really enjoyed this show. If it wasn't for the 12-man tag match, I would have gladly given SmackDown an 8 out of 10. Because of that, 7 out of 10. Show that's definitely worth watching. Skip the 12-man tag. And finally, for this episode, why are we less interested in the current product as a whole? Well, let's talk about this. It's about character development. I've heard a lot of complaining about how guys wrestle all the time. They wrestle the same opponents. They wrestle too much. And for Raws and SmackDowns, I agree with this. But they talk about pay-per-views and the same guys on top. If you remember, back in the late 90s with Stone Cold and The Rock, they were basically the main event in 3 of 6 WrestleManias. 15, 17, and honestly should have been 19, but Vince wanted to put the title on last. We didn't care. We wanted to see The Rock in Austin. Why did we want to see The Rock in Austin? Because we cared about their characters. We beloved Austin. We loved The Rock. We loved to hate The Rock. My personal favorite Rock was Hollywood Rock. But that's the point. We cared about them. We cared about what they did. We cared about Triple H to a degree. We cared about The Undertaker. We cared about DX. We cared about The Godfather. We cared about Kurt Angle. And in the beginning, let's not forget this, we cared about John Cena too. But current product doesn't develop characters. It's cookie cutter. Everybody's basically the same. They're fighting over basically the same thing. And nothing really stands out. That's the problem. Why Roman Reigns is hated has nothing to do with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is hated because who is he? Why should I care about Roman Reigns? There's no reason to care about Roman Reigns. There's no reason to care about Seth Rollins. There's no reason to care about Kevin Owens. The reason to care about Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens is because you know Kevin Steen and what Tyler Black, from his indie name, what they did in the indies. You care about them individually, but you don't care about them from anything built on character in WWE. So what happens is you then care more about their status within the company. You stop caring about the storyline because it's trash most of the time. You don't care about the character because it's never developed. They're never put in situations to build character, and if they are, it's backwards. Like Bayley from earlier. The babyface that's supposed to be fighting the odds is trying to get a count out. Now, why would I back someone like that? That is your current problem with WWE. The way to fix that is honestly they have to go back to the drawing board in my eyes. They have to go back and reevaluate how they're building their characters. And I would start with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is over. He's over because he feels important. Now he feels important because you want to see him lose, because you don't want to. He's been built as the unstoppable force, but you care. And really, at the end of the day, that's all the WWE cares about. As long as you care and as long as he moves the needle. The problem here is you don't actually care about Roman Reigns, the character. Now, the Roman Reigns versus Undertaker match could help you care about the Roman Reigns character if it's done right. And we'll talk about that more through the coming weeks. Point being, if you're going to get people back interested in the product who you've lost, or keep your current fans interested in the product, you must start putting your characters in situations that will allow them to show who they are as a character. The prime example right now of a positive character storyline and character build is the Wyatt family. And they fucked up the Wyatt family for a while. They fucked up Bray Wyatt for a while, but the people actually cared about Bray because he sucked you in. He brought you in like with a trance by his talking, by his words. You got where he was coming from. You got his message. You got his point. And now you have that with the Wyatt family, and because they built that, and I put most of that credit to Bray Wyatt, and because they built that, now you have a very fascinating storyline for SmackDown that's basically going to main event WrestleMania, or be one of the main events. Excuse me, it's not going to go on last. And you care. So at the end of all of this, you don't care about storylines because of the writing in the back. You don't care about storylines. You don't care about characters because of their position in the company. You care about characters and storylines because of how they're portrayed, because of how they're put in front of you. And over the last several years, you can't name too many guys that have been put in front of you that you've actually been able to get behind. AJ Styles right now is a guy everybody's behind, but ask yourself this question. Are you behind AJ Styles because of character development in WWE? Or are you behind AJ Styles because you knew him from New Japan Pro Wrestling, you knew him from the Bullet Club, you knew him from TNA, and you're happy for his success now in the WWE when it was a long shot? What is it really? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And when you answer that, then move on to other names. Zack Ryder got himself over, built his own character. WWE destroyed it. Dolph Ziggler, he got himself over, tried to build his character. WWE never pushed it forward. They never developed on the core that the audience got behind. So really, let's go down the list here. Let's think of current main event WWE talent and really, really consider who's actually being developed as someone you care about. Now, lately on the SmackDown side, you can say Baron Corbin. You know where Baron Corbin's coming from. He's very direct. He needs to get better on the mic, but he's still very direct, and you get where he's coming from. He's there for the fame. He's there to beat people up and make money. You get that, and you can get behind that. Either love him or hate him. The Miz. The Miz, until this brand split, my God, was The Miz a waste of space. He's not a waste of space anymore, folks. Why? Because they allowed him to build character. He went back to being the cocky shit-ass heel and allowed you to want to see him get beat. In wrestling, the most important thing, what sells tickets, is wanting to see the bad guy get beat up. We just don't have enough characters nowadays to actually get invested in that. But let's think. Let's think of other people. Apollo Crews, Kalisto, any of the 6 tag teams on SmackDown, any of the tag teams on Raw, really? I mean, let's go with, honestly, let's talk about the New Day for a minute. The act is stale. The act is dying at this point. It's run its course. We may not want to believe it because we like the New Day and they came from a horrible gimmick and made it something, but it's run its course. The club was treated as trash for so long that you don't care that they're even the champs now. Cesaro and Sheamus, you care about Cesaro. Why do you care about Cesaro? Because of his position in the company. Who is Cesaro? Ask yourself that question. If you had to describe Cesaro's character, who is it? Can you describe it? Or is it just a good wrestler? Sheamus, same thing. Kevin Owens, and I'm not going to lie, I'm one of the biggest Kevin Owens fans there is. But in this championship run, when he came up from NXT, you knew who Kevin Owens was. Over the last year or so, who is Kevin Owens? I can't even answer that question right now because there's no character development. He's a guy that was a prize fighter. He's a guy that would have did anything, would have stabbed his friend in the back. Now, he's a chicken shit heel, but he wants to fight. It's confusing. Who is he? What character is Kevin Owens? Chris Jericho, really, you even have to ask the same question about Chris. He knows what the fans want to get a pop, but in reality, what's his character? Who's he? So that's the point I'm going with. You look at these guys and you ask yourself why you care, and it always goes back to their position in the company or how they're being booked or are they winning or losing enough matches. The way something like this changes, the blueprint is being done on SmackDown, but kind of like character development light. The blueprint's there, but it's being done to a degree. The Wyatts, Baron Corbin, are the shining example, and The Miz, I must say The Miz too, are prime examples of character development and why you care. Even Dean Ambrose right now. I mean, what is Dean Ambrose? Dean Ambrose is this just weird dude. They call him a lunatic, but he's just weird. He didn't do anything. Do you remember Dean Ambrose as Jon Moxley? From his indie days and his early NXT stuff when he feuded with William Regal when he really got his name out there? Is that what we remember? Is that why Dean Ambrose is still cheered to the degree he is? Again, it's more of food for thought. What I'd like for you to do is leave me your comments. If you disagree, tell me why. If you agree with me, tell me why. Make sure to leave a like, or dislike, just respond to the video. Show me you're here. Leave me a comment, share the video with a friend, and let's get a discussion going. Like I said, leave me comments down below. Tell me what you think of the show. Tell me what you thought of Raw. Tell me what you thought of SmackDown. Tell me what you thought of my why we're less interested. Maybe you think I'm a blubbering idiot. Tell me that in the comments. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me why. Just come at me with something. Don't just say you're an idiot. With saying that, that is going to be the end of the show, folks. So again, like, share, subscribe, dislike, comment, be involved.